The Princesses and the Kingshuk Tree by Dharmachari, Nagaraja. Relax, be very still and listen. Listen carefully to this tale about 4 princesses who lived in a grand palace in a distant land. They were very curious girls, so when they heard about a tree of breathtaking beauty, they longed to see it. But this was no ordinary tree. It was a magic tree. Do you want to know why? Let's see if we can find out. Now, the young princesses had been well educated about everything in their own land, especially about all the animals, flowers and trees that would be found there. They even had a zoo in the palace, with exotic birds and animals from all over the world, and the collection of trees and flowers in the palace gardens was said to be beyond compare. So the princesses were very surprised one day to hear the gardener mention a special tree in the palace grounds known as the Kingshuk, as none of them had ever come across it. The princesses were so intrigued by what they heard that they were determined to see it. That very day, after their lessons, they went to find the gardener and asked him to take them to see this wonderful tree. "It would be my pleasure, your highnesses," said the gardener, "but the Kingshuk tree is a magic tree. People can only see it on their birthday. The rest of the time it is invisible, so I will only be able to take you one at a time, and you will each have to wait until it is your birthday." The princesses agreed and decided that it was only right and proper for the eldest to go first. And so it was that on the eldest princess's birthday, a bright spring morning, the gardener and the girl set out to find the Kingshuk tree. After walking for a while, they came to the edge of the royal forest, where the gardener said that it grew. The princess saw a tall, willowy tree standing apart, but the gardener could see nothing, so she knew that this was indeed the magical Kingshuk. She stood entranced by the beautiful tree. Its small green leaves were unfurling like sparkling emeralds, and the princess was filled with its joyful energy. As they left, the gardener asked her not to talk about what had happened, so that she wouldn't spoil the tree's magic for her sisters. As spring rolled out into summer, the second eldest princess celebrated her birthday, and the gardener took her to find the Kingshuk tree. She gasped when she saw it, for it was an explosion of deep red blossoms glowing like rubies. The princess swooned as she smelled the heavenly perfume of the magic flowers, which filled her with a great sense of happiness. The gardener asked her too not to discuss the tree until all the girls had seen it. The hot summer days were turning to autumn when the gardener brought the third princess to see the Kingshuk tree on her birthday. Her eyes widened when she saw its boughs crammed with luscious purple fruits, which hung from the tree like giant amethysts. The magic tree was so enticing that she felt as if it were feeding her with its goodness and generosity. And once again, the gardener asked her, like her sisters, not to talk about the tree until all 4 princesses had seen it. Finally, as winter chased the last autumn leaves from the tree, the birthday of the 4th and youngest princess arrived. Now the gardener took her too to visit the Kingshuk tree. She asked to be taken at night, as she wanted to see it in moonlight, and sure enough, its silvery branches, wet with dew, looked spectacular and sparkled as if they were dressed in silver threads laced with tiny diamonds. She felt as if the mystical tree was wrapping her in its warmth and magic. The day after the youngest princess's visit, The 4 girls went to thank the gardener for taking them all to see the magical Kingshuk tree. Relieved that they could discuss it amongst themselves at last, the eldest princess said, "I will never forget that beautiful tree, with its tiny leaves shimmering like emeralds in the afternoon sun." "But sister, you must be mistaken," cried the second oldest princess. "The Kingshuk tree was covered in huge ruby-red blossoms, and its heady perfume filled me with great feelings of happiness." "Oh no, sister, you are both quite wrong," insisted the third princess. "The Kingshuk tree was heavy with luscious purple fruits, which sparkled like giant amethysts." "Well, sisters, I think you must have seen different trees," cried the youngest princess. "The Kingshuk tree branches were covered in threads of glittering dew that enchanted me with their magic." Had the sisters not been so well-mannered, there might have been an argument, but instead they simply wondered if they had seen 4 different trees. The gardener laughed. "Your Highnesses," he said calmly, "you have indeed each seen the same Kingshuk tree and experienced its magic, but it was dressed for the seasons of your birthday, when each of you visited. So truly appreciate the tree, you need to visit in all seasons, which of course is impossible because of its invisibility." The princesses laughed. They had forgotten that each of their birthdays fell in a different part of the year, and that the tree changed with the seasons. No wonder it had looked different on each visit. The girls also realised that the only way they would be able to discover more about the magical Kingshuk tree was by listening to and learning from each other and anyone else who'd be lucky enough to see it.